Welcome to ChiroSecure's Empowering Women in Chiropractic, the Facebook Live show for successful women by successful women, proving once again, women make it happen. Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. Now, join today's host, Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, as she talks impact, exposure, and systems. And now, here's Dr. Nathalie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. I'm your host for today, Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, and I'm super excited to have on the podcast today my good friend, Brandy Kinnear. And first, before I introduce Brandy, I'm going to tell you how we met, and just that goes to show you how social media does work to create relationships. So I think it was last year, probably a year ago, I was in Toronto attending Dr. Joe Dispenza's event, and I was in lineup at Starbucks, and I was just playing on my phone, and I haven't been on Twitter for a bit, so I hopped on Twitter, and then somehow I saw Brandy's tweet about being at a marketing summit in Toronto, and I'm like, I should check it out. So I checked the summit, and then I checked Brandy, and then went down the rabbit hole of her funnels online and ended up booking a call with her because what she had to say really resonated with me. So I knew firsthand that her funnels were quite savvy and smart. And what interested me into Brandy is that she worked with healthcare practitioner in the natural realm. So to me, it was important. So as they say, the rest is history. I booked a call and we started working together, and we're working together on different programs as well. So I have Brandy on the call today so we can talk about how to grow our expert brand online with what she calls her 3-step system. And we're here to give you content and good value so you can use today in your practice. So welcome to the Empowering Women in Chiropractic podcast, Brandy.
Thank you so much for having me, Nathalie. This is really exciting. And of course, I'm a huge fan of yours since we met in that random tweet in the Starbucks line. But I'm really excited to be able to share some information that can help practitioners grow.
Awesome. So Brandy, just tell us your story, maybe in a few minutes, because I think it's really powerful. And, everyone has a story. And usually when we move forward and are really successful at something is because we have a personal story. So tell us about your story and how you got attracted to the world of natural health.
Yeah, so I feel like my path was actually created for me as opposed to me being the one blazing my own path. I used to live in the Caribbean. I started off in my entrepreneurial journey at the ripe age of 20, right out of university. And I built up a chain of video stores, and I was doing quite well and having a great time. But after 5 years, I was ready to come back to Canada and start living the real life, as they would say. And when I came back, I started getting psoriasis all over my hands and my feet, and it was terrible. And I went through the conventional healthcare system. I went from the GP to the dermatologist. I did all the things that they told me to do, and it was just getting worse and worse. And I was sitting on my couch one night. It was like late at night, and there was this horrible commercial that came on the TV with bubble letters. And I was like, what's 2006, bubble letters have been out since the 90s. And when I looked at this video or this commercial, it was actually a clinic, an integrative clinic that wasn't too far from me. And I thought to myself, gosh, they need some help with their sales and marketing. So I connected with them, and sure enough, they had me in on the same day and needed lots of help. And in fact, he was an integrative practitioner, and he said to me, if you help me grow my business, I'll get rid of your psoriasis and any other health issues you have and anybody in your family forever. So I sold, and I ended up becoming his director of operations, and we built it into a super successful 7-figure practice, and we were just doing amazing things. So I became super passionate at helping other practitioners understand how to share the knowledge of what natural medicine can do, and how to, it's one thing to be an expert clinician, but for people not to know who you are and not to be able to find you was something that was really crazy for me, because I was the one really telling everybody about this doctor. And it was like literally word of mouth and my hard work. So I realized that in order to grow awareness to natural medicine as a whole and make it mainstream, I needed to reach out and help more practitioners so I could together we could exponentially grow awareness. So
Awesome.
and I moved on to consulting. And what was the biggest deficiency I saw in every single practice? Marketing.
Marketing, yeah.
Marketing.
So, Brandy, let's dig in right now into your 3-step system. So the first is awareness by growing your audience and generate fans. So can you give us tips, tools, and strategies? Well, first of all, explain what you mean by that, and then just give us some gold nuggets if you want.
For sure. So, I don't need to tell anybody about the merits of social media, I presume, in the year 2019. But one thing to be aware of is the ability to reach the right target audience exponentially larger than you've ever reached them before is through social media. So if people think of it as sort of a monkey on their back, it's a lot of work, they're not sure what to do with it, it's actually your forum to reach hundreds of thousands of people. And when we start looking at it like that, and we start positioning ourselves in the way we want to communicate with our ideal clients, it changes the way you act on social media. So what do I mean by that? Well, at the end of the day, most practitioners haven't dialed deeply into who they want to serve. So you're serving people who you're serving now because you're busy and you're getting, you're adjusting and you have a busy practice and you're there every day and you want more and more people, fine. But do you love who you're serving? And are you attracting more of them? Or are you constantly, feeling a little bit overwhelmed and exhausted with your practice, which is typical. So, we become these experts in our field, and then we start to think, hey, there's something more. Let's work with the people we really like working with. And that's what you have to do with social media. You've got to identify who those people are and then position your communication to them. That's how you're building awareness to your brand and building an audience. You want your audience to be raving fans of people that are like, yes, I love you. So, as an example, if you are super quirky or you're funny or, there's something about your personality that's authentic to you, you need to show that online. You can't just be what they say, like call a talking head, because what happens is people don't get the chance to resonate with you. And ideally, the quality of your audience is much better than the quantity of your audience. So the metrics of how many followers you have or how many people like your page are super irrelevant. I've built very successful businesses in very niche markets with a high quality audience. And it in itself is one of the best tips and tricks and tools I can tell you, is really finely detail who you want to work with and then how you're going to serve them. And then some of the ways to make sure that you're building your audience is consistency. And I talk about omnipresence. So omnipresence is making sure that you're everywhere. And it's not, oh my God, everywhere, and this is basically your life on social media. It's using a strategy where you're taking one piece of content and you're repurposing it across all the channels. Should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Instagram? Should I do a YouTube channel? Yes, do them all. Just don't spend your whole life doing it. Just make sure that you've got a structure and a plan so that you can make the content once and get it across all of these channels. That's omnipresence.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, because I think many of us in practice, we feel overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, one more platform that I have to be on. So what tools do you suggest, Brandy? And I guess the question is, we don't want to sound or look too pre-planned as well and just use things like Later or Buffer or Hootsuite to populate. There needs to be that little bit of interaction, and good point on having our personality shine through if we're doing video and things like that. So what are your favorite tools for this?
Well, so I have a philosophy that in order to scale what you're doing and be consistent and be omnipresent, you can't be scheduling things on a daily basis. So you need to have a scheduler for what I consider your bread and butter. So I like to break down 4 different categories of posts that you should have, possibly posting 4 days a week. The content should be made in advance. You schedule it using Later as an example, because Later has got a great connection to Instagram. So you can use it for Instagram. You can use it. Later is one of our favorites in the agency. We almost always recommend Later. And then what I recommend doing is, that's the bread and butter. That's the meat and potatoes. Now you add the gravy. You are the sizzle. So that's your behind the scenes stuff. That's your kind of raw, fun daily snippets. That would be your Facebook Lives. That would be a picture of something that happened in your life or in the clinic, or, you know, a patient case study or something that you want to just pop on and share. It would be what goes in your Insta stories, where your gallery would be your bread and butter. You're throwing in little tidbits and little pieces of you, your lifestyle, this authentic, unique part of you. And that stuff is organic. So you need a mix of organic, but to look like an expert online and to have this omnipresence and this consistency, I believe that you do have to schedule some in advance.
Would you say, I mean, technology is moving so fast. Which of the social media do you think, and it's not fair to say because we all have a different avatar who we want to attract. I know that certain age group will be in different things, but let's say my avatar, her name is Catherine. She's 42 years old, busy mom with 2 kids and so forth. Where is she now? Where is Catherine found more?
So Catherine's on Instagram now. So Catherine they're all on Facebook, but your reach on Facebook, organic reach on Facebook, is a lot more difficult now. But Instagram gives you the opportunity to get in front of the people, find the right people, follow them easily, and get your information in front of them much easier than Facebook does. So I encourage everybody who's working with clients under the age of 50 to be on Instagram for sure.
Now, would you suggest hiring someone to do your social media for, let's say, that nurturing, and then you're left to do, you know, the stuff that only you can do?
100%.
You trust a social media person enough?
Yeah, no. So what we actually did in my agency, and it's specific for natural health practitioners, is we actually built a program specifically to solve that problem. Let's outsource the content, the bread and butter, to somebody else so that you can focus on your zone of genius, which is medicine, and your second zone of genius, which is organic social media posting. Okay, right? Cool. There's really no reason to be doing it all, because then it's overwhelming. The consistency doesn't happen and you lose that momentum. You don't get to do it a little bit and then stop and keep momentum. That's just not the way social media works. Yeah. People need to see you multiple times in order to start to resonate with you.
Yeah. And I like what you mentioned about creating one piece of content that you start with a video, transform it into a transcript, to a blog, to mini post or whatever, because it's time consuming. So I myself do a lot of that, and because I like to have the content that's also original to me, to my expertise. So great advice here. And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that about Later, because I was using Hootsuite, then we changed to Buffer, and now we are with Later, just because my social media person, who's doing a fantastic job, said that it was more friendly with Instagram. So a tip here to know. So second point is of how to grow your expert brand online: connection by nurturing your audience. So we kind of touched on that with the social media, but what else can we do online with our audience?
Yeah, so I usually like to add a bit of context to that, and the fact that, you know, there's this rule of 7 in marketing, which is now typically around the rule of 20, where you need to connect with people on multiple touch points. I call them micro engagements, in order to start to build a relationship with them and start to have them resonate with your brand and start getting used to your messaging. People aren't necessarily ready to buy when they first meet you, when they first watch your video, when they hear about you. But in order to show up on a regular basis and sort of build these engagements with them, that's what the rule of 7 does. So that's what your social media accomplishes, but then you also need to take into account your email nurturing. So in our agency, we do a lot of quizzes, or we do a lot of opt-ins where it's like the ultimate guide to, or it's a video training series, or it's a free course on, and we're not talking the ebooks. People don't really want to buy your ebook anymore. So that was very, early 2000s. Ebooks are out, and now it's give me a quick win. Give me something short, give me something fast, give me something I can implement right away. And in exchange, of course, you're getting their email. And then that email nurturing sequence is really where you get a chance to help, share what you do and what you're passionate about and some of the results you've had for people that are similar to them. And what happens if they don't do that? Imagine a woman doesn't go and get something fixed and what that looks like long term, how it affects other aspects of her body, blah, blah, blah. And so we usually do a nurture sequence of about 6 or 7 emails. And then after a few months, we go back, not even a few months, maybe 2 months, we go back again and start to nurture them with the same offer. Because what happens is ultimately the people that are warm, that have signed in, that have opted in and are consuming your content, it's almost like the same way you would treat an existing customer. They already know, like, and trust you. So even though they didn't take action in those seven rule of 7 engagement points, they still are in your world and they still need to be communicated to. So depending on what your privacy standards are, what you've had them sign up for, we like to go back and offer them the exact same offer, slightly different context, and another set of 7 engagements. So that's a really good, I call it a ninja trick for your email nurturing. But you have to understand that anything you do, and even in here, I'll give you another great one because we've been using this really successfully, is in your email sequence, give them a link to the video that you've done on that topic in your Facebook, or make a video and put it on YouTube. Put the link in the email and say, if you'd rather watch the video I've done on this, click here. Again, video builds relationships, it nurtures. So you've got people that like to read, and some people are more likely to open up an email than they are to even find you online on your social media. So you've got the opportunity of connecting with them via email, then you're sending them over to your video and they get an even deeper connection with you. But that's what nurturing is all about. Let's assume that people are coming to your website or to your social media, they're cold, they're warm, or they're hot. Hot ones are looking for your phone number and your address, but cold and warm, you need to build that strong relationship with them. And there's many ways to do that, but email marketing is probably one of the best and most effective.
Yeah. And that I think is the cool part, that, let's say, I know I have one running with your agency, and I somehow love helping people with headaches, and migraine is just something that I feel that I get great success, and it's just so rewarding. So we've done a quiz about it and a nurturing campaign so people can learn about us, trust, the information. And I guess it leads to our third point, which is trust by delivering value and standing out as an expert, which is also crucial. It's all about positioning yourself. So, I'm not saying that if you do one funnel on headaches, that's it, you're pinned down with this and, that's all you can do in the office. No, that's not what we're saying. But the online world is very different to me than when people make it to your office, because there's attraction, there's conversion, and then there's retention. So you're helping us practitioner attract the right people, right?
Yeah, and I think what has to be understood about value, a lot of times, I work with practitioners who will say things to me like, I don't want to tell all of that information to my audience. Like, it's too much. It's my secret sauce. And I say to them, nothing that you have that's a secret. Like, there's no secrets anymore. Google exists. There's hundreds of thousands of practitioners talking about all the things online. What you really need to know is that you're delivering pure value to your customers or your potential customers all the time, but you also have to ask for the sale. So we have an 80-20 rule in my agency where 80% of the time your content that you're delivering is pure value, but 20% of the time you're asking for the sale. So if you were doing, 4 or 5 posts a week, one of those would be your why they should work with you. And that's sometimes difficult for practitioners because they don't want to sound salesy and sleazy and markety, but you're not just there to give it away all for free. You're there to transform and inspire and motivate and take people to the next level. So you do have to stay, within a certain amount of posts, why should they work with you and what that looks like. And honestly, you have to look at communicating them with what their emotional, physical, or lifestyle problem that you're solving is. Because we're not talking high level, your sacroiliac joint is blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is they can't help they can't get their kid's hockey bag out of their car because their back is too sore, or their shoulder's frozen and they can't, make dinner. Like, those are the things that actually people care about. So that's where you have to deliver value, but you'll also have to meet them at the level that they're at. And we say 5th grade English. Like, don't try to be talking too high level. Yes, you can still sound like an expert with talking to people in the way that they actually understand information. Another key point, Nat, for anybody doing social media or any type of marketing, please get professional pictures done. Get updated professional pictures. We have a brand photographer that we work with. We send a lot of our clients to her. She's amazing. She knows my industry very well, so it's easy for her to understand what I want out of it. But we get 75 pictures that we can use on Instagram, on social media, put them on the website, send them out in a media package or whatever you're doing. Get professional pictures. It makes a big difference. You don't want people to think that you're not an expert because you're old fashioned, you don't understand technology, your practice is out of style. It's 2019. You have to understand technology. You need to be up to date and you need to look the part. And I think that really sets you apart with an expert positioning as well online.
Yeah. Because it's, my goodness, ran out of water here. I think, I know I get this often, and of course I'm the author of a book, Hack Your Health Habits and so forth. And I have my social media strictly for the clinic, and I have some for my Dr. Nathalie personal brand. But one thing that is fantastic now is that you can really reach the people who have consumed some of your material. And I know that I have patients coming in for their adjustment more regularly because they see us online. It's like, it's a reminder, oh yeah, I've got to go and schedule and get my adjustment. Or, I get feedback, oh, I love the recipes you guys are posting online or what have you. And it is true that anytime that it is on my personal page or the clinic page that we put something fun and quirky, it just, resonates. And I'll give you that as an example, Brandy. I don't think I told you that one. So I had my birthday a few weeks ago, and my staff decided to surprise me, big balloon with the big 50. Fantastic. Really happy about this. But they did that at night, and we have motion sensors. So at 1:30 in the morning, the alarm my phone rings. The alarm at the clinic got turned on. So I'm 9 minutes, 8 minutes, with no traffic to the clinic. At 1:30 in the morning, in my pajamas, running to the clinic. So my office manager put a nice post on Facebook, kind of a oops, sorry about that, Nathalie, kind of thing. But we had so much feedback, and people were saying, this is funny. And I couldn't really be mad at them because, their thought was really very kind and nice of them to do that. So adding those little stories or anecdote, and same thing with Insta story on Instagram. It takes literally 30 seconds to do. It creates some fun and some engagement. So
it also allows people to get to know you on a more personal level. And you don't have to share all your life on Insta stories, but, letting people know, let's say you're cooking and you've made a great meal and this is how you like to enjoy food with your family. Or what if it was a disaster and everyone hated it and you burnt the rice? Like that kind of stuff is like, I like her. She's real. She's authentic. Or he's real. He's authentic. Like that's really the stuff that helps to build the engagement faster and better. And if you can't do that, you don't have to do videos on Insta stories, but it would make sense to start maybe speaking with somebody about how you can strategically get on there, because it really is a tool that not a lot of people are using to their benefit. But I mean, I personally generate probably $40,000 a year just from my Instagram account. Just from me adding value to my clients, Instagram.
I always joke with older practitioners. I said, if you have a teenager, or just ask your teenager to show you how, because usually they're better at it than most. So, Brandy, oh my goodness, we're already out of time. And I think we're going to have to do a part 2 of this to dig in even deeper in some of the strategies. So I guess, from getting back to the points that we talked about, is really focusing on what you want to position yourself as, what kind of experts, and not saying that you need to niche down completely, but online you kind of have to attract the right patients and the people that you want to work with, and then nurturing those connections, those 7 touch points. And I was at a conference in New York City last weekend, and they just said exactly the same thing. How many times do you need to see and hear someone? And same with us as healthcare practitioners, because most people will be referred to us by patients, or, somebody sees you 3 times online and 2 of their friends talk about you. It's like, wow, she or he must be good at what she does. So, that this is a sign. I've seen your stuff in many places. This is a sign. And then after that, it's nurturing that relationship inside of your office. And maybe this is what you and I discussed in a part 2 of this episode, of this interview, so people can see it as they're not disconnected. I really think the front end and the back end needs to be intertwined, and they need to work together. But I think there's different focus that it can be applied when it comes to that. So Brandy, can you tell us, the listener, how they can find out more about you if they want to learn more about what you do, please?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram at Your Ideal Patients. I'm also on Facebook, same name. And youridealpatients.com will get you over to my website, where I've got some free tools that you can use. And I'm happy to chat if anybody has any questions. There's lots of ways to reach me through those 3.
They can do like I did and schedule a call. And, I was sold after one conversation because I really liked her approach. And one of the reasons, if I may brag again about your services, is that I've worked with a lot of different marketers, but a lot of them don't get what we do as health practitioners, natural health practitioners. So to me, it's very important that the people that I use for my services, and it goes for my computer guy at the office, like everybody needs to be on board of what I do, understand what I do, be a patient, get adjusted. It's just so important to me. And it just makes everything more congruent. So Brandy, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. I hope I'm sure everyone got good content and some nuggets that they can, jump on and just start acting. So this was your host, Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, for the Empowering Women in Chiropractic segment for this week. Have a great week, everyone.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.